The Democrats are their own worst enemy. They create their own reasons for people to want to abandon ship. They focus so much on what they want and focus none of what they need to do for the American people. And today we're going to go through a few of those things that this party in particular does to ward off any other potential supporters and voters. Now, they often bring over and cater to these immigrants in hopes for votes. But once these immigrants come here, they tend to go conservative after a little while. It's like they work to get to a comfortable economic position, and then they start voting conservatively to keep it that way. But in doing so, they have to bring over newer immigrants in order to replace the ones that are now starting to vote conservative in order to keep their economic status. But when bringing over more immigrants, this economy cannot withstand so much. So what it ends up doing is that it ends up hurting the economy overall, because the immigrants tend to bring down the wages of workers in the country. So even the immigrants start to see that this is how things start to go, and they abandon ship. They tend to start to vote conservative in order to keep the economic position that they worked so hard for. Now, there's people like Shoe on Head, and she's a liberal white woman, if I'm not mistaken. And even she can describe and see just how toxic the Democrats are to men in general. And I'll have some examples of what she brought up in the video.
So what the f was this? Putting out a bunch of ads of Tim Walz changing the air filter in a car, clumsily shooting a gun, and drawing a political football play-by-play. Trotting out Walz like some kind of minstrel show of a white man. Like a man dressing up like a man for Halloween. You don't gotta do all this, bro, I promise you. And they don't shy away about how that's exactly what they are trying to do. Tim Walz is clearly a Midwest man's man, but he's the antidote to toxic MAGA masculinity. While I was writing this video, Kamala and Gretchen Whitmer were getting ready to film a video at a bar together when Kamala was apparently caught on hot mic saying this.
Yeah. Oh, we have microphones and listening to everything. I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah. So, well,
you'll
now
bleep
you tell
my
us.
F words.
We just told all the family secrets. Shit.
We need to move ground with men, so what we're gonna do is pretend to drink beer at a bar. Men like beer, right?
Cheers. Cheers.
Just talk about policy. Just be yourself. Just listen to men and what they want. Kamala, all you gotta do is talk. Actually, no, now that I think about it, that might make it worse. Put Tim Walz out there, okay? Let Tim Walz do the talking. Don't dress him up as a man. Why do you care about men suffering? Because I want to win the election. Amazing. This is the issue right here. Start seeing men as people and not numbers in polls. That is step one. You can't even do step one. While there is truth in messaging needs to be better from Democrats as a whole, I reject that telling young men they need to be better is the problem. They are trash in their nature, and if they can't do the work to not be toxic waste of seed, that's on them. Vote for my team, by the way. From the outside looking in, the right promises young men a return to the good times, of the glorious past. You know, the one your grandfather had. The Coca-Cola ad rose-tinted version of the past. Back when you can afford a house and support a family on one income. While the left, which historically, in my opinion, had the policies to make that happen, are instead trying to sell men a vision of the future. And well, the future is female. A future where you're no longer playing the game, men. You're on the sidelines being a cheerleader. Doesn't that just sound so exciting?
So as you can see, she gives some really good examples as to what it is that, like, you know, there's the problem driving the wedge between men and women when it comes to how they vote and how they tend to go conservative or liberal. And instead of trying to alienate people, she shows how the Democrats are actually starting to just alienate men in general. And the final nail within the Democrats' coffin is that they are playing Black America for stupid. Now, there are a couple of things in which they do in playing Black America that has come to bite them in the butt. The first thing is that they ignore Black American issues unless bundled up with other minority groups. And what this does is that it lets other disenfranchised people, quote unquote, benefit from our struggle that they did not suffer. And it does not make sense for another group to get their comeuppance off of another group's struggle and suffering. It could only make sense that if someone is going to struggle through something, they should be the one to receive whatever justice and benefits that come with that suffering, whatever justice comes with it. And if you only give it to people when you bundle it with other people who did not go through that, that is a slap in the face. And not only that, but they misrepresent Black Americans and our specific issues that we truly care for. Like, they're not talking anything about they're not offering anything to us specifically that would benefit us specifically, as the Vice President Kamala Harris has done in that Root interview, where she said,
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
letting us know exactly where she stands and letting us know we don't need to vote for her. The second thing that they do in playing Black America is that they promote the gender wars. This one happens to be a little more in depth because there's always been like a gender war between Black men and Black women in America that was created by white supremacists in order to make sure that we did not come together as a family unit in order to fight back against oppression. And when that wedge was drawn by the CIA implanting feminism in the civil rights movement, it ended up creating such a disarray amongst the Black community, and it exaggerated the gender war that was already brewing and made it even worse. And then now the Democrats are coming back into putting gas on the fire of the gender war within Black America.
To think that the men that we love could be either unaware or indifferent to our plight is simply heartbreaking.
And using it to try to force Black women to force Black men into supporting the Democrats.
If your brother or your son or boyfriend needs to hear your perspective, are you willing to talk to them? Are you willing to send a video of what I've just said? Are you willing to do something?
As if Black American women don't see that. And not only that, but they often pretend to care about Black women's issues. Like, they'll care about like a Black woman's right to choose and a Black woman being represented in higher office, but they say nothing about Black women in the infant and birth rates. How Black American women who choose to have children are often undertreated at these hospitals, and they're treated badly and poorly, and oftentimes it results in the death of their children, sometimes even themselves. And it's like, if you care so much about Black American women, how come you're not caring about those issues? How come I haven't heard Kamala Harris mention Sonia Massey not one time? Or any other Black woman who's ever been taken down by a race soldier. So it just goes to show that they pretend to care about Black women's issues, and they use that in order to try to pander to them in order to get them on their side. And the last thing that they do in playing Black America is that they play with reparations and an anti-Black American hate crime bill. They know that Black Americans are demanding reparations, and we are demanding an anti-Black American hate crime bill and a delineation acknowledgement in the census so that we can be able to get what we need specifically for us. And in an attempt to still get our vote, they often play with it, saying, oh, we're going to do a study, we're going to think about it, and maybe if you guys are good enough, you just might get HR 40. And it's like they do this, and then they'll say, or they won't even say, they'll demand, by bringing out people like Barack Obama and his wife, they'll demand that we vote for them. They'll demand that black women force black men to vote for them. And it's just like, have y'all lost y'all good God blessing mind? How dare you demand something from someone that you are offering absolutely nothing to, and then on top of that, you are doing what you can to push abortion into our community so that we can thin out our numbers even more. It's like the nerve and the audacity of you to come into our community and promote abortion, promote degeneracy, promote bringing Glorilla, Megan Thee Stallion, and Sexy Red, and all these other degenerates up on stage as if they speak for Black American women and Black American society as a whole, and say this is why we're supposed to vote for you over getting reparations for what y'all done to our people. Like, the audacity, that right there is the ultimate final nail in the coffin for the Democrats, because Black American voters have always been like their swing vote, because majority of like America outside of Black Americans tend to be kind of evened out, but Black Americans tended to vote as a voting bloc to get either president elected. And now the Democrats have lost that. And now that they lost that by playing in our faces, now it's going to start being something that they can no longer rely on. So, moving forward, even if the Democrats do win, they've been so stained that it'll be hard for them to continue after this point. I'm pretty sure that if they do get elected, they're going to do a lot of last-ditch efforts to try to solidify themselves, bring over some more people who will vote for them, like some loyal minions, or, I don't know, maybe lock us into some global government type of thing or something, who knows. But all I know is that just like any empire before it, every empire eventually fails. There were other independents before there were Democrats and Republicans. When the Republicans came, and then it became Democrat and Republican. It might go the same way. Next time it might be the Democrats going down, and it might be a new independent party coming up. One where they actually do things and they actually care about the American people. But hey, that just could be me, trying to be optimistic in this case. But let's keep the discourse going. I know I only pointed out 3 points as to what the Democrats are doing to shoot themselves in the foot, but I would also like to hear what other points that you guys have that show that they are sabotaging themselves. And also, if you want to understand more about the gender war, and also about reparations, I would suggest clicking these videos so that you can understand better about the gender war, how it works and where it comes from, and also how reparations for Black Americans would actually end up saving America. And until then, thank you for watching, and I would like to leave you with a saying that the unexamined life is not one that's worth living. Peace.